What's going on, y'all? I wasn't going to film tonight. I was just going to get some zone out time, mock up my header, put my EGR on, and then just tell you all I did it. But getting the header on, the engine, I discovered a snag. The Manzo eBay header doesn't fit right. It hits my oil pan. So I figured I'd share with you my fix and my issue. Let me get y'all onto the stand and show you guys what we're working with. So here is my 4-to-1 Manzo header. And they take enough pride to put their name on it. But if we get down here, I had the spark plug defouler. I used one I had left over from my Jeep. It's the 90. It's the kind I like to run because I can angle it however I see fit because it's got a jam nut on it. So I'm probably going to up the angle a little higher once I get it in the vehicle. And then my existing front O2. And then ARP head bolts, or ARP exhaust bolts. These are part number 761-1002s. A lot of guys use the studs, but if you're not running a turbo setup and you're not taking your header on and off a lot, you don't need to. Just order 2 packs of these, and it's a third of the price of ARP exhaust manifold studs. They have washers. I just don't have them on in this video because it's strictly mock-up. Now, let me show you guys the issue. The exhaust flange is resting on the oil pan. Right there. So my goal is to take the O2 sensor off, heat the pipe, put a piece of pipe in this, and try bending it down until I have at least a 1/4 inch of clearance. So let me get my torch out, let me get my jack handle free and get these going. So the goal is to heat right along here in the bend. It's going to discolor the header maybe a little. Maybe it won't. I know my garage floor is a mess. A bunch of rags being thrown on the ground tonight. So my goal is to heat this. I've got a 1-inch square piece of tube stuck on the other side that's 1/8 inch thick. So we'll see what happens. See if that's enough heat. I doubt it is, but we'll try it. No, it didn't budge it. And all it did was mess up down here where the donut needs to go. I'm gonna have to get a jack handle in there further and re-round this out. Son of a biscuit. Well, got a little clearance. It's better than it was. Alright, let's get the jack handle out. Here's the result of heating it twice and putting a 3-foot jack handle in it and then prying down on it. I have about 1/8 of an inch of clearance all the way around. So we should be good. Wasn't a lot of work. It's just a quick little video. Show you all what I did. Some good old-fashioned map gas. You want to heat the pipe up nice and about the length of the bend and go from there. I think we'll be alright. So now we can put our EGR valve in this thing, and I'll make that part of this video, I guess. But we've got our EGR set up here. And we're waiting on powder coat and the bracketry that's getting cleaned up. So let me put my O2 sensors back in, but fairly easy. Short video on this one. As I said, we're going to get the EGR mounted on. It's quite simple. It's just 2 bolts. Get some light on it for you guys. 12-meter bolts. There is a metal gasket, and I have one sitting on the shelf. Then you have your EGR tube. Now I have this mocked in. just so I can see how it sits on here. It's going to secure like this, and then it'll secure the header. You guys can see I've pulled that off since I showed you how to heat it, because I had to take the engine off the stand to fix the rear main. I broke a bolt off in this one, so now we have a new rear main. We have the trans separator plate. So we're getting there slowly but surely. The next step will be getting the flywheel, the clutch, and the clutch disc on there. And then we can hook this to the trans and set this aside. I'm still waiting on the gasket from Mazda so we can fix this bullshit. And we've got, once this is in the car, we'll have the trans hanging on it. We'll bolt it into the car, and then we can start putting all the accessory stuff on it. I like the coil brackets. Waiting on the AC bracket mount and all the alternator bits still in powder coat. So as soon as I get those back, we'll put those on, then put it in the car. Let me clarify. So far, we're looking pretty good. I think at this, just a short little video because the past couple have been super long. So we'll go ahead and call this at the end. And then you guys can see all the fresh hardware on the rear main. So we're getting there. So part of the tidbits that we're doing is situating our vacuum lines and trying to figure out where exactly we want everything to run. So I have my evap solenoid here. I just made a little bracket out of some flat stock. We'll get that cleaned up. And this is going to sit here. And then I'm thinking off of this bolt here or up here, we're going to put our fuel pressure solenoid, because this port will be best signal for that. And then my cruise control and whatnot will go off of this signal here. So silicone intakes has the vacuum lines, and we're going to go with that route. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead and connect our coolant tube. And this one I've set on here just to make sure I remember where it goes. This is going to mount here. EGR is in and loose here, so we can put it on our header. Something else I discovered was that I didn't know this, but these come apart. So I'm going to have to take the tubes off here and back here. I'm going to loosen these back up and put fresh O-rings in here. We have our knock sensor sitting here. I've got to put some bolts in it. And then just get this squared up. Getting there. Alright, I showed you guys a lot of the little things I was doing to the engine while things are out getting taken care of. This wiring and whatnot is atrocious. We replaced our power steering pump because this one, the original one down there, was leaking. So I found an OEM one on eBay, and I got to tighten it down still. So we'll put the hose of that. You guys can see I've got all my brackets out. I'm cleaning up all the brackets, and then we go back here. You guys can see the wire loom isn't mounted to any studs. They used a giant plastic loom mount, and it looks like crap. So I'm going to use, as you guys can see how I did that one, a metal clamp, and then over here we're going to clamp the cruise control wiring and whatnot here. See this harness here? But I want to also leave room, because we are going to put the evap solenoids here because we're deleting them. So I figure if I clamp it here, it'll give us some free play to run up into the corners. Some of this wiring I'm going to have to do with the engine in, because I won't know how the solenoids have to run and everything until we get there. So mainly, get the back firewall mounted up, finish cleaning the inner fender here, get these hoses connected, and go from there. I did reach out to Manzo, the header company, who made our header, and I explained to him that it didn't fit. Even though I heated it and got it to work, it's still not right. So reaching out to them, they said they're going to try to make some tweaks to one and try to send it to me. So when I get that new one in, I will update you guys on fitment. What else? We got vacuum lines from silicone intakes. We have all the exhaust parts coming in. I'll be doing an exhaust video once I get all this squared away. And God, so much stuff going on. So I'm going to dive in. I'm going to get this power steering connection. I got to get the old pump or old reservoir off. The hoses, because those hoses are $35 a piece and I'm not spending that kind of money. So let me get a camera set up over here and we'll go from there. Alright, as I was saying, we're going to start taking these hoses off and putting them onto the new reservoir. This one was weeping and leaking, so I figured if we're going to do it, we might as well replace it instead of doctoring it. And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm talking away. I was trying to put stuff on my workbench. So I've got a bucket that I use as a catch-all. And most folks don't like spring clamps. I don't mind them. I think they have a good form and function, and they don't usually fail. They don't usually fail, like, or strip like the worm gear clamps. So make them worth their while. So you guys can see, I'm just taking this hose off. The hose is kind of hard, but it's been this shape for years, but it still has a lot of flexibility and no cracks. So we're just going to reconnect it. Normally I would just put a new hose on it, but money is a factor here, and we're over budget and over time. So now that we got that on, we're going to just slide our spring clamps down. Like so. And then slide this one over here. And we're doing all this because we have more room with the engine out. Basically, I could do this with the engine in, but I'm going to be calling into the engine bay to mount some wiring up. So I figured while I'm in here, might as well take care of it. Power steering light is on. Now this one here actually hooks to our power steering pump and gets fed. It feeds our power steering pump, which in return feeds our system. Now we're going to try to wipe this hose down because it's covered in fluid, but plastic on rubber, they get a little stuck. And like I said, maybe someday I'll buy new lines, but these don't see a lot of pressure, I don't believe. So buying a new line just doesn't serve purpose if there's no cracks in the existing line. So just trying to wipe it out a little bit. I don't want all this crap all over my engine bay. So we'll take this. It usually works best if you keep the spring clamp near its original position. So maybe I'll splurge later on and get some new hoses, but for right now these will work. I want to give a shout out. I got a local company, a lot of guys in the Mazda world know about them. Silicone intakes. They make a lot of the fittings and pipe or vacuum lines, couplers, and turbo parts. I use them strictly for my cold air intake setups and to get vacuum hose from. So all my vacuum hose on the engine came from them. They have kits and stuff you can buy. I'm going to leave the spring clamp actually off on this one. I decided we're going to leave it off so we can figure out where it needs to sit when the power steering pump comes in. So the next little bit we're going to do tonight is I want to secure the engine harness, and let me grab you guys and show you guys. I think I showed you this already, but we're going to just take some clamps and hang the harnesses on the firewall. Let me grab one for you guys. I'll be right back. I have a 1.5 inch clamp on there now holding the main harness, which is actually a little oversized, but it works. We have some 1 inch clamps. I've got 3 of them, and there's studs already on the firewall. So I'm going to hang them on there, grab some M6 by 1.0 nuts, and secure them. That way they're mounted on the firewall. Pardon me, guys, I had to step away for a second. We got just some little Nylock M6 nuts from our local Lowe's. So I'm not really sure exactly what size clamp. I'm kind of shooting it in the dark here. I didn't have a actual thought process on this. I'm just kind of trying to clean it up as I go. I don't want this thing looking like I threw it together, but at the same token, I don't want it to look like a, I guess it will never be a show car, but I want to make it clean daily, something that I can drive and look at and say, yeah, man, I built that. Kind of like the process with all my rigs. Form and function without being unthought of and too gaudy. So we're going to position you guys so you guys can kind of focus back there. And you guys might not be able to see clearly, so let's see what we can do about this. Alright, I'm going to try to go over the center and show you guys what my game plan is here. It's a little bit more difficult when my little man's not out here staying up late and helping me do this. So we got to check firewall stud size and go from there. So this 1 inch clamp will fit. So I'm just going to take I'm doing this all in the name of cleanliness, and for Christ's sake, I don't know why. I'll try to make these look so nice. The Jeep, on the other hand, is a utilitarian type daily, where it drives, it rides, and it functions. This one, on the other hand, it's got a little more creature comforts. As I was saying, the Jeep lacks a lot of the creature comforts like this thing has. And I kind of want to keep this one along those lines of creature comfortability, daily driver status, nice ride. I don't want bone charring coilovers and getting beat up on daily. I want to be able to hop in it and just cruise and enjoy it. It is going to be a commuter 99% of the time. The game plan is to get this fixed, get it cleaned, and retire the Jeep, at least majority of the time. Because trust me, that thing is fuel happy. And I know I choose to drive it, but that's also very true. It is my rig. I love my rig, and I wouldn't get rid of it. I wouldn't change the fuel economy for nothing. Yeah, we're dropping crap here, you guys. I have like no room to work doing it this way. It's alright. I've got spare nuts and bolts. So one day I'm going to have to go underneath this thing before we do final install and hunt down a couple of nuts and bolts that have fallen since then. Alright. Secure that. And we got the main harness over here. I might try a smaller hose clamp because you guys can see how big that is. It's just a monstrosity. I had it laying around, so I threw it on there to make it work. I'm going to try to downsize to this. See the difference in sizes? So I don't know if this is going to work. I might have to get a 1 inch. The one I have in my hand is actually 1/2 inch. Even if they're a little loose in a 1 inch clamp, at least I know I can fit a couple more wires in there and tuck them up clean. So I also want to get some convoluted tubing and run it down this line. Oh yeah, that'll fit perfect. Oh crap. And that, my friends, is the joys of working in a home garage. We make messes. So we just take that one and we'll gun it on just like the last. I might need to get an extension, but we'll see. Hopefully my deep socket reaches because I don't have an extension readily available. You guys, my old man's been getting on me for years to get with the times. And it's kind of funny coming from an older guy and get pneumatic tools or electric tools. And having kids, all the extra tools, couldn't afford them. I finally splurged and got this electric ratchet, and man, does it make my life easy. Alright, so that's mounted. And then you've got a couple things in the way, but we actually have, hold on, let me see something, guys. We can put smaller clamps and make it work. So I have a couple studs here, and I don't know if I can see them on this point of view, but you got a stud right here, just barely in camera view, and one slightly higher that we will put our wiring harnesses on. First I've got to get these plastic pieces off of here, and these are just the pliers needle nose I had available to me. This might just spin off. So I'll put a clamp in here. I might just pre-run my wires, I haven't decided yet. So you can tuck this in nice and tight. You get some extra clearance in here, and then, I mean, I can demonstrate it. I don't have what I want got a 1-inch clamp. See, I got 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So I use a 1-inch down here to allow for adding the VIX and VTS solenoids. I'm not sure if I'm going to put them down here. Actually, I might hide them under the manifold. So it'll just tuck it in tight and kind of put them in the back corner. The game plan is hide the VIX and VTCS, and I hope I have those acronym right. Mazda guys, don't kill me. I'm not well reversed in all these Mazda terms and bits just quite yet. So we just tuck those up tight and make room to run wires through. I don't want them out permanently. Hold on, I'm walking away here. As I was saying, I don't want to mount them permanently, just for the simple fact that I got to run wires, and I'll show you guys how I do that when we're actually setting the engine in, because I'm going to run the VTCS and the VIX wiring through the intake manifold and back down here to the firewall. So actually, I might be able to get away with 3/4 inch looms, but let me pull you guys in tight here and show you what we're dealing with, and then we're going to end this video. See, tight and secure, and I am leaking coolant again. Son of a biscuit. Alright, so just run that down tight. My game plan is probably to come with the VTX or the solenoid wiring and just go through this harness and run 2 pieces of convoluted tubing to this back corner. My goal is to hide the wiring back here. It'll be so busy with the cruise control stuff you wouldn't even notice it. And this is where we're at for now. I know it doesn't look like much, but between a few things I did with the engine and getting the new res put in, we're getting there. Waiting for word from Nick, the powder coat guy. He's cleaning up a bunch of brackets, sandblasting them for me, getting rust and crap off the engine brackets. And once all that stuff comes back, we'll be able to set the pumps, the power steering pump, AC compressor, and alternator on the engine and get that put in. So, oh, and after the engine, and we know it's running, we have some exhaust mods coming up from our buddy Chuck at Nexus Muffler. So thanks for watching, y'all. God bless.